The expulsion of Ahsoka Tano from the Jedi Order represents a catastrophic failure of the institution. It was a pivotal moment that not only cost the Order a uniquely gifted warrior, but also served to accelerate Anakin Skywalker's descent into darkness. The tragic outcome is well documented. Framed for a terrorist act she did not commit, Ahsoka was abandoned by the Jedi Council and forced to forge her own path. But this was not the result of a single decision, but rather a series of cascading failures of process, of principle, and of trust. And today we will analyze the critical junctures where the Jedi Order could have altered this outcome, and in doing so, perhaps prevented their own dissolution. This is an examination of how the Order's institutional flaws became the architects of their own undoing. Point of divergence begins in the aftermath of a terrorist bombing at the Jedi Temple hangar. The evidence, meticulously manipulated by the true perpetrator, Barriss Offee, implicated Ahsoka Tano. Facing immense political pressure from the Republic, the Jedi Council made a critical error. They chose to capitulate, expelling Ahsoka so that she could face a military tribunal under the authority of Admiral Tarkin. It was a decision driven by political optics, rather than a pursuit of justice. But let us rewind to this critical moment. What if the Council had chosen a different path? Instead of yielding to external pressure, they could have stood firm. In this alternate timeline, Master Yoda declares that the Jedi will conduct their own investigation, free from outside influence. This single decision would have fundamentally altered the subsequent events. Ahsoka would not be a fugitive, but a Padawan under the formal investigation of the Order itself. The political machinations of Tarkin and Palpatine would be effectively stonewalled as the Jedi refused to relinquish their authority over one of their own. This act of institutional integrity is the first necessary step in preventing Ahsoka's departure, affording her the two things the canon timeline denied her: time and a fair process. With the investigation now contained within the Jedi Order, its full resources could be mobilized. Anakin Skywalker, no longer forced to hunt his own Padawan, would instead lead the effort to exonerate her. His fierce loyalty would be channeled into a methodical search for the truth, supported by Jedi Masters like Plo Koon, who had discovered Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, whose doubts about her guilt were present from the outset. The evidence would be scrutinized with a level of forensic detail the Republic military was incapable of providing. The nanodroids used in the bombing would be traced to their origin. The death of Letta Termond in her prison cell would be re-examined, not as the desperate act of a fugitive, but as a calculated assassination. The method of her death, a force choke, was a significant clue, pointing toward another force user within the temple. In this alternate timeline, it is this focused internal inquiry that would inevitably lead them to Barriss Offee. Faced with the combined evidence and the authority of the Jedi Council, Barriss's deception would crumble. Her confession would reveal her motive, a misguided attempt to expose the Jedi's fall from their ideals. This confession, delivered before any military tribunal could be convened, would completely exonerate Ahsoka within the formal structure of the Jedi Order itself. The canon timelines offered to reinstate Ahsoka was a profound misjudgment. Framing her ordeal as a great trial demonstrated a catastrophic lack of accountability from the Jedi Council. It was this refusal to acknowledge their failure that solidified her decision to leave. In our alternate scenario, the outcome is fundamentally different. Having been vindicated, Ahsoka faces a humbled council. They came perilously close to sacrificing one of their own for political expediency. What follows is not an offer of promotion, but a formal apology. Key members of the council, including Mace Windu and Yoda, would be forced to admit their error, that their judgment was clouded by the pressures of war and politics. This act of accountability is what truly saves Ahsoka. Her trust in the institution, though severely tested, is not irreparably broken. She agrees to remain with the Order. For Anakin Skywalker, the effect would be immeasurable. The wedge Palpatine sought to drive between him and the Jedi has been removed. His faith in the Order is bolstered because ultimately the institution corrected its own gravest mistake. This healed trust would have significant ripple effects, strengthening the very bonds Palpatine was dedicated to severing. With Ahsoka remaining in the Jedi Order, the final year of the Clone Wars would unfold very differently. Her bond with Anakin, already profound, would continue to develop. Her presence would provide a crucial counter-perspective during pivotal moments of the war. The most significant consequence, however, would manifest during the events of Revenge of the Sith. In the canon timeline, Anakin is critically isolated. With Ahsoka gone and Obi-Wan assigned off-world, his only confidant becomes Chancellor Palpatine. It is this void of trusted companionship that Palpatine exploits, preying on Anakin's fears regarding Padmé's fate. In this alternate timeline, Anakin is not alone. He has Ahsoka. And given their uniquely close bond and shared skepticism of rigid Jedi dogma, it is plausible that Anakin would confide in her about his terrifying visions. Unlike the Council, who would likely offer detached advice on letting go of attachments, Ahsoka could have provided empathetic and practical support. She understood his emotional conflicts. She could have served as an anchor, a voice of reason to counter Palpatine's manipulations, potentially helping Anakin see through the Chancellor's deception before it reached its terminal stage. The climax of this alternate reality centers on the confrontation with Darth Sidious. When Anakin discovers Palpatine's identity, he is not a man on the precipice of betrayal, torn between a flawed Jedi Order and a manipulative mentor. He is a Jedi Knight, his faith recently reaffirmed, supported by both Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. When Mace Windu moves to confront the Chancellor, a more stable Anakin would likely accompany him with a clearer purpose. His betrayal becomes far less certain, with Ahsoka as a living reminder of the Order's capacity for justice. However, even if Anakin's fall was an inevitability, Ahsoka's presence on Coruscant during the execution of Order 66 would be a strategic game-changer. She would not be on Mandalore, but at the Jedi Temple when the 501st Legion attacks. As an experienced commander respected by the clones, her presence could sow confusion among the attacking force. More significantly, she would be a formidable defender. She could have organized a more effective defense of the temple, rallying masters and temple guards to protect the younglings. Her leadership could have meant the difference between a near-total massacre and the survival of a significant number of Jedi, creating a far more substantial foundation for a future resistance against the nascent Empire. The decision to expel Ahsoka Tano was ultimately a symptom of a deeper institutional rot within the Jedi Order: arrogance, subservience to politics, and a detachment from its own core principles. By choosing to stand by her, the Council would not simply have been saving a single Padawan. They would have been taking a necessary step toward correcting their own trajectory. They would have reinforced Anakin Skywalker's wavering faith and denied Palpatine his most effective weapon, Anakin's isolation. Saving Ahsoka could have saved Anakin, and in saving Anakin, the Jedi might have prevented the galaxy's fall into decades of darkness. Her departure was a wound from which the Jedi Order never recovered, and it serves as a grim reminder that the most significant battles are often not fought with lightsabers, but with integrity and trust. But that's just one possible timeline. What do you think? Could Ahsoka's presence have truly stopped Anakin's fall to the dark side, or was Palpatine's manipulation simply too powerful to overcome? Let me know your theories in the comments below.